Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. Hope you're having a good time out there. I'm here in the studio, and Sunday Live, soldiers on, no matter what happens. So thank you for joining us on the holiday weekend. I know a lot of folks are trying to get away the best way that they can under the circumstances. And so I thank you for choosing to be here this weekend. It's a special episode. You're going to be introduced to one of the oldest friends of mine that I've ever had, and who plays a very, very big role in my life. So I'm very excited to present that to you today. Also, we'll be playing a new track that I've not even heard, just hot off the press. It's unmixed. This is just the first attempt at putting the newest arrangement together of it is an acoustic version of It's the End, and Tim posted it about 10 o'clock this morning, and I did hear a little sneak peek, but I'm going to be listening with you guys on the track and exploring what that next single for the Calib project will be. Speaking of the Calib project, the single Rise Up is now available in all the online stores. Check it out. During the after party, we'll go ahead and play this final single mix for you. And for Audio Terrorist, the city gender blank word here, so I don't get censored, has come out as well. This is a 12-inch remix of the song that appeared on the album Who Are You? And all three of those will be presented in After Party. But now, with no further ado, let's bring on Joe. Hey, Joe, how the heck you doing?
Hey, Caleb, how's it going?
Going good. Just getting things done here in the studio.
Is it warm up there where you are?
We're actually going to get into a warm streak now. Warm here usually means about 78 degrees. But I hear it's rumored this week we're going to actually touch 90.
I'm at one of the coolest areas of the Bay Area. At where I am in Berkeley, it's 96 degrees,
Wow.
and it's about 112 everywhere else in the state, depending upon where you are. Probably in the 80s at the water's level. Also, this morning it was very, very clear and beautiful. The moon and Mars made a fantastic show thing at 5 a.m. at 75 degrees. But at about noonish, the air took a turn for the worse. I think it was the last of the burning fires and whatnot. We have very, very poor air quality at this point. The sunset will likely be diminished, obscured from view. It's the effect of a very dirty fall.
I was so I was surprised to hear that you said it had cleared out at all from the fires. Was that just a wind blew through?
Yeah, the fires are being more and more contained. More and more of my friends are turning out their homes have been saved, which is a great and wonderful thing. Um, but the dying remnants of the fire still producing that smoke and going out with a bang, shall we say, because the smoke is horrendous.
Hmm. Yeah, Dan Wyman, who did those earlier episodes, my mentor from San Jose State, he's been going back and forth between Santa Cruz and Truckee, where they have places trying to find some clear air somewhere. He says it's really bad all over.
I thought about heading north to Mendocino, where I define time because the weather the air might be more clear up north.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you get the fires up north or in the Sacramento Valley that will fill that area out, the grass fires and whatnot. But up here near Seattle, we still have mild temperatures. It's very wooded, but we have creeks that run around the house that run all year round. So one of the things I say to Alex is I no longer have water guilt. So, so literally I'll be doing the dishes going, I don't have to worry. She's like, why are you doing it that way? I'm like, to save water. She's like, honey, you don't have to save water as much anymore. But, between the droughts and the grasslands there in California, there's going to be fires.
Yeah, I think compared to the rest of I think you're the end of the West Coast at this point where you are.
Getting a little interference. I think from the cell phone. Oh no, I think the theremin's trying to talk to us. But no one else can hear that because I have the amp off over there. But yes, today, people, we are going to be playing around with the theremins. If you don't know what a theremin is, it's originally a Russian 1920s musical instrument, and it is played without being touched. One of the first instrument like that, and one of the only few in the world where you don't have to touch them. Well, I'm glad you're safe, and I'm glad everybody else is safe. Most folks have messaged me and let me know that they're okay and they still have their homes. Another friend, Eric Jorgensen, who was on an earlier episode, said when they came back, they had burnt leaves on the roof, but the house did not go up.
I'm seeing on our feed that we're having more and more people join us. That's good to know. They're jumping on as we speak. Edward
Nice.
Keller's with us.
Cool.
Thomas Keller out of England is joining us this afternoon.
And I see a bunch of people have joined the watch party, which does not show up on the screen down below. That's only if you join the... it literally feels like I have a bee in my ear. If you join us through the main feed, the live feed on the Facebook page, the Caleb Dort Facebook page. But what I was finding is not as many people get told that we're live that way. So there's a button underneath it that says watch party. So I launched the watch party here, and I see a lot more people joining the watch party. So I think that's the better way to announce to people. The downside is they don't get to join in on the chat. So it looks like on the on-screen chat is just Edward, Joe, and myself. So anybody else, if you really want to be on the on-screen chat, you can jump over to the live post that's below the watch party on my Facebook page. I see Tyrone's joined and Tim's here. Hi, Tim. Guess what I'm going to play today? I didn't tell Tim. So I'll be checking my phone for the watch party folks, and then I'll be checking up here on the main screen for the other folks that join the main streams. So it's a bit like having my attention drawn all over the place, but hey, it's cool. So Joe was just talking about the fires in California, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're safe during these challenging times. It's a tricky period for all of us. But, again, fingers crossed that you're safe and sound wherever you are. So today, as I said in my intro, we have a very, very special guest. This guest and I go way, way back. And I'll be frank, it's been a challenging relationship. It hasn't always been easy, but it's always been worth it. And I'm sure everybody on today's chat has someone in their life like that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to... The thing seems to have hung up, so I'm going to go manual mode here. Guest of the week. Here you go. Asylum Studio. Me and Asylum Studio go way, way back. I've been producing music in Asylum Studio in its various forms for about 30 years now. Also producing video. And if I was to give it a third quality, I'd say trouble. And it's every week there's something new. Like right now I have a buzzing in my left ear, but that's because of the theremin and how to route the cables. And behind where I'm talking, and then in front and all around me are all these cables with different paths where they can't cross and they have to be suspended. So Asylum Studio plays a role in my life almost every single day. Figuring out how to get connections to work, getting equipment to work, finding out the equipment has broken down and needs to be replaced, and that the new technology doesn't do what the old technology does. It is a steeplechase that it seems to be never ending. So I wanted to give everybody a tour of the studio today and kind of see where the magic's made and all the elements that go into that. So that's my guest introduction. And Joe, you've been around a few of my studios over the years, and I think you understand that the technology can be tricky. Although I would say when I first started, most people did not have technology around them. Now everybody's dealing with audio and video, and that's even pre-COVID. It's like we all have a little recording studio in our pocket, on our laptop, all this sort of technology around us. And I just have it a little more so.
It's funny that you say that. Again, I sound like a broken record, but I say this, but in the beginning when technology became prominent, was emerging, shall we say, um, new avenues of producing, of recording, even distributing to a degree, it became more of emerging technology, and more people, not everyone, but more and more people are on board with it. And then we had people that were hesitant because they were not technically savvy. They were not tech savvy individuals. But then as the technology became a thing, even a consumerist thing, more and more people got onto it. And now we're seeing a type of zenith where the technology is not only more prevalent and preferred, it's quite in demand, but with the pandemic and everything. Um, and with the fires that we've had in the West Coast, it's you know, technology, social media is the new ham radio, and it's also the new soundstage, and it's also the new recording concert. So it's a bit of a zenith at this point, out of necessity, yet out of availability. But this late stage, more and more people um, are embracing this.
If you don't know, lately I've been trying to capture video, and I have an old Mac over here with a FireWire card that used to capture video great, and the box has died. So I thought I'll just get a new version of that box that works with USB and Thunderbolt, plug it into my new laptop, it'll all just work. Well, not so much. I bought an equivalent box at an equivalent price and then was told by tech support when things didn't work I needed $1,000 time code corrector unit in between their box and this box. I'm like, okay, that's fine and dandy, but seriously, my box at the same price 20 years ago could do it. And I found another company who have a box and it didn't work. But through tech support, they were able to, over the internet, log into my computer and update the box. And then it worked. It's a pain, like I have to set it up, every setting, every clip I take, or every capture I do, I have to set it up, reconfigure all the software, get the capture, and then close it, and then it'll crash, forgetting all of its settings, and rinse and repeat. So it's not perfect, but it's working at, a few $100s, not $1,000. I think part of what it is, with the acceptance piece that you're talking about, Joe, is just that this is so easy. Tim had us go shoot the Wizard on the Stairs acoustic video just with two of these little thin objects. There's no wires involved. I'm watching this video stream. Everything, boom. Soon as I wanted to capture simple videotape, suddenly you're looking at something like this. Let's go for a little walk over here with the cam. You're looking at a situation like that. And this is, you've got camcorders, you've got the adapter box, you've got a mixer box, you've got tons of cables and power cables, and it's just crazy. how much
more and more.
yeah, it's just the amount of gear you needed to do the same thing before. I remember trying to ask a friend of mine, how do I share something on my Mac? I'm having trouble. He goes, oh, just use AirDrop. I didn't even know it existed. And it's like, turn on Bluetooth, boop, it's just transmitted. So the amount of wires in here are still high in this business to have the quality. But the whole video thing, gone. I'm so happy all those wires are gone. Once I get my 40 high-8 videotapes captured, boom. It's going to feel like a liberation. Well, speaking of the studio and the technology, I'd like to do a quick tour. And let's switch the audio here. I'm going to do a little bit of mole tour. All right, hope you guys can still hear me with this. Got a little USB cable here. So here's the main control center for doing the shows. Got the mic, the laptop, and I've ran out of USB ports, but there's another couple cameras here I could potentially use. And then this is where I'm monitoring all the chats and all that good stuff with Restream. And Joe, you might want to say bye to Ed. He looks like he's going to sleep. So I can make sure everything's working. We've got speakers to the left here, speaker to the right. This is my main mixing station. And then this station's got the mic preamp, the import gear for the computer, some old boxes that only work with these old machines in the corner. There's still some projects on those old machines that won't work on anything else, so I keep those. Especially this keyboard will only talk to the old Macintosh, so I want to do any projects with that. We have some lighting here. We have a little collection of guitars there and basses. The push, which is could be a drum machine, can be a keyboard. It's kind of an all combo device. We got our subwoofer down here. Here's where we got our vocal processing and guitar processor. And we got an amp here. And then here's the other computer that handles the Zoom meeting with Joe. You can't really do these kinds of shows just on one computer, mic stands and whatnot. And there go are sort of the theremins. We got this synth guitar. But most importantly, this thing. This is what my adapter bag. I kid you not, every week I dig into this bag because I suddenly need an adapter. I miss Radio Shack because I used to go by there every day. Just any adapter that I didn't have, I would buy and throw in this bag. Of course, all that's online now. So we have our keyboard corner over here. And I'm actually going to do a little performance for you all. I know I've been having guests of other folks, and a couple folks have asked me to do some more of my own stuff. So I will give you a little example of what that's like. All right. That seems a wee bit hot. Bring down the levels. a little demo. Show it's off. All right. How'd that sound, Joe?
Sounded very good.
Cool. It was
I
my
like it because it sounds like a lot of the old school electronics, which is always
yeah.
near and dear to me.
Yeah, I definitely was going for that Jean-Michel Jarre. I don't know, I'm not quite saying specifically him, but that, yeah, old school analog synth guys.
I know it's I know you're when we were setting up, you're playing around with a similar like-minded music, and it was reminded of Kronos Quartet.
Interesting.
I always thought the Kronos Quartet, the music they play, it's like some of the soundtrack music. It always sounded like new age music, but with an edge to it, and that's what always appealed to me.
Yeah, it definitely that piece is a mellow on the mellower side, and yeah, it has the techno. The drums are very craftworky, and then I think of Jean-Michel Jarre as the more mellow, and Oxygen and whatnot. So that string part and the horn part over here carries that. The improvisation, I love a little bit of chaos. That's one thing that's different about me than those classic, your classic Kraftwerk, your classic. These guys are all about precision. So with a theremin, I can add a little chaotic element, kind of playing around with that same scale. But then when I just let the theremin run, it's my body moving around near the theremin. It's playing all these random notes in there. So as a result, you're getting these ninth chords, 13th dissonance, and other elements like that.
Can you think of a more interactive musical instrument than the theremin? Because this is an instrument that relies on bodily movement. You have to dance to the instrument to get music from the instrument, be it your hands or a movement with your body.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of beast, and you have to approach it in a completely different way. And like with guitar, I try to work towards precision. When I'm working on it, I'm always thinking about how can I make it more precise. Not hearing anything. If you're just stumbling around on guitar, I guess it could be interesting. But with a theremin, I have to sort of face that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to control it. So you just have to give up and have fun with it and let it be what it is. It's a synthesizer that you play like a guitar. So usually with my shows, rather than worrying about my fingers hurting because of the strings and whatnot, I'll use this instead. It has nice, soft, cushy plastic buttons. Doesn't always respond in the way you want. It has a little warble between notes, but other than that, it's been great. The last show I did here in Seattle, I played a Gary Newman song and played on this one. And yeah. So the studio has all sorts of little toys like this that I can just pick up and get inspiration with. Unfortunately, someone has to figure out a way to make guitars not do that. I don't know why they make the bottom end so big on a non-acoustic guitar, because it just makes it not sit even on the body. But you get your punky stuff. Whatever. So anyhow, that's some of the stuff, some of the toys here. The cameras, guitars, and synthesizers. Also have some little things like this. Cost just $6 at a toy store, and can add to live shows. So not everything has to be expensive. That's right. And one of the items I've become fond of the last couple shows I've done is just a simple shaker. I just love that sense of time, and to bring things up and bring things down, kind of shape the mood of the piece by adding the shaker to it. Folks have any questions about the studio, the setup, the process, the workflow? Feel free to put in comments, and I will try to get answers. Looks like Ed is going to sleep. He's in England. If you've seen an earlier episode, Ed Keller is a friend of ours who is moved to Britain in the 90s and is a singer-songwriter as well. Well, I think this might be a good time to double-check the chats. Do you see anything on your end, Joe?
Not offhand. Mr. Keller had to leave us. It's very late in England, so he is well past his bedtime. But I like the tour that you just gave of your studio, your production studio. Again, I love the resource of it. I mean, in the old days, it was a big production. You had to rent places like Abbey Road Studios and whatnot. It was just, but nowadays, people can retreat to a bedroom, for example, and be every bit as productive, if not more. And it's not just productive; it's resourceful. They can do so much using so little. It's cost effective, it's time effective, and I think it's great and wonderful. More people can do this. Anybody who aspires to a musicianship can create. And that's the ability to create within the confines of one's home, as opposed to going out. I have to go into Solzant Studios in Southwest Berkeley, for example, or Abbey
Yeah.
Road Studios. You can
And
do it at home.
If you want to be creative, there's lots of tools. I don't really have very good chops. I just haven't had the patience in my life to sit down and do scales enough and practice enough. But that doesn't mean you can't create. I'm a big fan of the idea of doing something is better than nothing. And when I was growing up, there was a lot of this myth of the professional. Oh, there's someone, he was just born for it. He was born to sing, born to play guitar. And if you look at the studies, it shows, while some people might have an easier time, it's all about how many hours you put in. So, the 10,000 hours rule, right? You do it for 10,000 hours, anybody can achieve that. But having said that, if you're busy with a lot of other things and don't have the time, keyboards, they've gotten amazing what you can do with the keyboard. So while on a guitar, maybe I'm limited to some simple open chords. Right, picking on the guitar, I can go over this keyboard. Look up a patch. I think it's called Criminal. There we go. So it's like there's tools. If you're challenged in one way, there's another tool out there for you to be able to do what you want to do. And I the first couple Audio Terrorist albums were a reaction to that, where I just couldn't focus long enough to sit at the piano to do scales. So I just started grabbing anything I could, old radios, record players I could spin backwards, anything, and collaging that together. I would have preferred to be able to play guitar, piano, and be a singer-songwriter, but it didn't seem like that was accessible to me. So I started by just hammering at stuff and doing something interesting and doing anything. And then over time, that built my skill level to where the next door opened, and I got in the recording studio and started working in the recording studio. And then from there, progressed to being able to have access to samplers that I couldn't afford and synthesizers I couldn't afford, and realizing how much working with them I could create. I showed you the push here. Well, maybe a later episode I'll show everybody how the push works. But literally, it's a grid, and at any given time, you can say it's a drum machine, and you're playing drums, piano, any sounds you want. And rather than playing with string cutting into your fingers or on a keyboard that's limited to left and right, you, much like a guitar, can go up and across at the same time. So I'll demonstrate that. So there's tons of new instruments and tools, especially in the electronic space, that can help people play music, which is the point, even if they don't have the time to practice or have a disability.
Yeah, I think one of the things people, when someone is well gifted or something, or so-called gifted, people write them off as being blessed or gifted or talented. One of the things that tends to negate the hard work and passion that people put into their craft, to their pursuit.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's nice probably being told that you're this rock star person, that it comes easy to you. And, a few people luck out and develop their voice in a certain way that makes it easier for them. But like you said, I'd find it insulting if I'd spent all my life working hard to do something and someone said, "Oh, you must have been born with that."
No, the only requisite, you have to love what you're doing. That's the only requisite.
Amen to that. Yeah, if you love doing it, find a way. I'm looking around for the phone. Check if there's any questions. Oh, my voice is too low. It's because I'm going in and out from the mic. Do. Well, let's pump that up a little. One, two, three, four. Hey, everybody, how's that? A little louder.
There's some distortion, but I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. Cool. I always like to check in the show. Early on episodes, we'd get rolling and might find out that there's a sound problem halfway through the show. So good to know early. Let's see, any other chats? Any questions we got? See, Ed, Tim, Joe. On the party, we've got Tyrone. We've got Cindy. Hey, Cindy. And James, Amber. So I want to go ahead and do the mystic moment thing this week. I have a very special mystic moment. You know, Joe and I have been talking about following your passion and, oh, there's the camera over there. Following your passion and your heart and finding opportunities. And sometimes those opportunities are sitting right next to you and you don't even know it. You just haven't been told that they're there or you haven't seen them. So this week's mystic moment, I'm going to challenge everybody to widen your field of view. What does this mean? Well, I'm going to show you a quick video to show you what I mean.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away.
That's right, madam.
It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
And action.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
Bring the camera back around here. So that was a cycling safety video that I found out on the internet. And it's just a great example. Which way is this camera going? No, this way. Yeah, it's a great example of how you only see what you're, focused on. And here in this video, you see a scene, you think you've seen it all, you know what's going on. And then you pull back and get a wider view. And all of a sudden you realize there's all these other things that have been going on that you haven't even noticed. So if you want to be creative, whether it's painting, whether it's music, or any other endeavor, if you think you can't do it, there's probably a way to do it. Every single thing in this recording studio nowadays can be done on an iPhone. You don't need to invest hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in keyboards and other equipment. You can literally download an app for $50, $25, and have a 4-track, 8-track, I think it's up to a 16-track recording studio on your phone. You just have to get the hardware to plug in the adapter for a microphone, get a decent microphone, and you could be producing your own albums. There are the free iBand. iBand. What's that? What's that lower end, Tim? My brain's seizing up. I'm wanting to call it Bandcamp. Anyhow, the Apple free app. It has a guitar interface. It has a keyboard interface. So literally, if you have a smartphone on you, you can do everything I'm doing today. So hopefully that statement widened your perspective. There are art programs, all sorts of great stuff you can get really inexpensive for the iPhone. I want to show you one more illusion to drive home this point this week. Check it out.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it, but did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again.
I'm going to skip the rewind. It'd be interesting in the comments how many people was the first time they saw that video and how many people didn't see the gorilla or the background changing or the person that left the team. The point of the video is to show you that no matter how much you think you know and how much you think you are seeing, you still have a tunnel vision. You're focused on what you're focused on. And this is wired into the brain. As soon as I say VW bugs, how many VW bugs you see, you will start seeing more VW bugs. It doesn't mean there's more VW bugs in the world, but it means your brain didn't find that information relevant, and it was simply putting your focus elsewhere. So when you think you got it all dialed in, recognize, not so much. It's not only about perception of the world and how focused we can be, but just recognize that there's more going on. And if you want to do something, an open door might be right next to you. Well, that's the mystic moment of the week. I hope you go out there and widen your horizons and seek out those opportunities. As always, I'm available on Facebook. You can text me if one of these mystic moments opens a door for you and you need some help going through. I can help you out with that. We are now starting After Party. So Joe,
Yes.
are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Huh, interesting. This screen doesn't show you. Over to the other screen so you just see a desert. Let me get Joe back up here.
Yes, I can see myself. I can see you, and I can hear you clearly.
So for folks who've been watching this this show, every single week there's something new. So what I want to do for After Party this week is I want to play several songs. And the first one is an unreleased song that Tim's working on right now. I just did a quick master on it and would like to share with everybody and get your thoughts after. And it's called It's the End, and this is a new acoustic mix. It's the end, my friends, and we don't have a place to go.
talk to me. Can't you see? We're living in a land of false dreams, and we are standing with both of our feet off the ground. We'll all lose if we choose not to find some common ground. You deny while people die. The thinking is quite unsound. Have to turn this thing around. We have to turn this thing around, or we lose. This warning, we're past the point of no return. It's the end.
That is It's the End, new acoustic mix that Tim Lehane is working on. And that's a whole new arrangement after our discussion on Saturday, and gave me chills. So thank you very much, Tim. I think you might be still on. Tim's reminded me that the Apple product is called GarageBand, and I think it's free for your Macintoshes and iPhones, or it's very cheap for how powerful it is. So you should check it out. So what do you think? Are we on the right path there, Joe, with this version?
It sounded very good. It sounded real cool, and the audio's coming in well.
And Tim just messaged /wave. Not quite sure what that means, but he's done a fantastic job on it. And once we're done, we'll have a premiere and have him talk about the process that he went through in his studio to make it happen. And he's laughing because that one it's not even mixed yet, and it already sounds fantastic, which is a testament to his skill. Well, a song that did get finished and has been released that Tim produced for me is Rise Up, the single mix, and it came out this last Wednesday. And I'd like to share that final mix with everybody here today. Here is Rise Up.
Receive all your signals coming through. A sinking ship, what shall we do? You must see the end is coming soon, and we'll all have to make some room, yeah. There's a time and there's a place, all the memories erased. Now we see the world through your eyes. So rise up, you gotta rise up. Rise up, baby, you gotta rise up. Rise up, you gotta rise up. Rise up, take back what's yours. Yeah. Crystal receiver, your signal's coming through. We're stepping up, I know just what to do. You must see a change is coming soon. And we'll all have to make a move, yeah. Well, there's a time and there's a place, all your memories erased. Now you see the world through our eyes. So rise up, you gotta rise up. Rise up, baby, you gotta rise up. Rise up, you gotta rise up. Rise up, take back what's yours. Let's all rise up. We gotta rise up. Rise up, baby, we gotta rise up. Rise up, we gotta rise up. Rise up, we're gonna rise up. Come on, Lazarus, and rise up.
That was Rise Up. That was written with Raccoons on the Moon, which was a balanced breakfast rock lotto event. Sometime I bumped the doubling. And based on the jam, and then Tim edited the jam down, and I edited it further, and bam, we ended up with a single. Tim went on to redo all the instruments. I believe, correct me in the comments, Tim, but every single instrument in there other than my voice is you. Playing the guitar solo, the keyboards, everything. So we got to a final mix, and we got released, which takes about 6 weeks nowadays, and got out. So that track is available on Spotify, Apple Music, everything you can imagine now. So if you'd like to share that with the folks, that copy that I had there was copied off of YouTube. If you'd like to donate towards my music, go ahead and buy the single on Bandcamp or Apple Music, etc. If you don't have a dime in these challenging times, at least want to just support it by sharing the song with people, you can look up Caleb Rise Up on YouTube, and you can share that link for absolutely free. Tim says, okay, so Kevin Yoder, who is our drummer in the Raccoons on the Moon / kalib.band, played drums. That's right. We had him down, bring a whole huge drum kit and bring it into Tim's studio and recorded that completely. We planned to have him on all these other recordings, but with COVID, we all ended up in lockdown, and hauling around a big drum kit just is not possible. And it's hard to produce and direct when it's remotely. So shout out for that. I'm going to go ahead and check the chat, see if anybody has any more questions. Looks like everybody's just happy to kick back and listen to the tracks and sending some waves. Looks like it's making me send waves to people over again, which is interesting. So sorry if I'm waving at you multiple times. It's not that I'm trying to get your attention. I'm just saying hi. So this last track, we got one more track, and then we're wrapped up for this week. Thank you for spending a bit of Labor Day weekend here with us on Sunday Live. This next song started back in 1993. I had a live version of a full band version of Audio Terrace together at the time, and we were really struggling with getting ready for stage, and this drama, that drama, people showing up unable to play and stuff like that. We got a bunch of demo tapes which are on the Night Porters release. If you look at Bandcamp, and I think I actually went out to iTunes and Apple Music as well. It's called Night Porters, and it's live recordings from that lineup band. But I decided that I was just going to get a drum machine and a keyboard and soldier on without the live musicians. And one of the first things I did was a fairly industrial, stompy track. And when I mean industrial, I mean more like industrial equipment, kind of like early Human League. And it was called originally Standing on the Platform. And quite quickly, I was doing a lot of studies on gender theory and cultural theory during my art classes, and my studies with Barbara Genevieve, which again is stuff on Barbara is in an earlier episode. You can check her out. Barbara very much believed that an artist should be pushed pretty much to the edge of sanity to create quality work and to be on the edge of culture. So what came out of that was I met an individual who had gone through had written a piece, and they had invented this term, genderfuck. And I was very fascinated by the whole cultural theory and art and I don't know, everything that was happening at that time in the arts in the early 90s, the whole abject which was for everything to be beautiful, it had to be ugly. For everything to be ugly, it had to be beautiful. So you see a lot of art in the 90s had that idea of sticking those two contradictory elements together. And it wasn't just for the sake of shock, it was theoretically about the idea that everything has its opposite. If you say one thing, you immediately invent the opposite. And this very postmodern idea. So the song was about that. Then later on I wanted to do a radio version. Obviously that word was a little hard, not allowed on air. And so we did a synthesizer, more poppy version that appeared on the Fracture album in 2000. There was also some remixes done by my friend Brian Northway, who I'm trying to get on the show still, but haven't yet got him to come on. And the song just over the years kept getting redone. And then with Coeur Bleu, which was an offshoot of Audio Terrace, the song got changed. About 80% of the lyrics got changed into rewritten by this songwriter in that band, Pixie Blue, and it became known as The City. And then we changed the music further, and then after I focused back on Audio Terrace and not Coeur Bleu, I wanted to make a rock version. So in 2015, when we were playing and touring, we had a guitarist and we had a rock version. So this version has gone through all those iterations. Tyrone Stanford produced the rock versions. And then a remix was made by Raven Alexander, who goes by Audio Incarnation. And this is a mashup of all that history coming together in a sort of 12-inch remix version. And I have the feeling this song is going to keep getting new versions and new versions. This one is appears in a slightly different form on the Who Are You album that was released last October for Audio Terrorist. And in all of its glory, here is the 12-inch remix version of that song.
Do anything you want with me. Dress me up in fetish fashion. Lights are on the water, moon is in the sky. Come across the steel span and leave the day behind. Forget who you used to be, think of who you are. City, baby, everyone's a star. And the city's like an angel, opening her wings. In the day she's sleeping, but in the night she sings. And the city's like a demon who wants your very soul. She'll feed you when you're hungry, if you don't mind the cold. She'll give you the chance. Do you want a pretty boy or a well-hung girl? Baby, it don't matter when you come into my world. And the city's like an angel, opening her wings. In the day she's sleeping, but in the night she sings. And the city's like a demon who wants your very soul. She'll feed you when you're hungry, if you don't mind the cold.
That is The City, the most recent version. And I added a bit more of the original gender song into that mix. So it kind of harkens back to how it started, back to its beginning. And it's funny, when you listen to a song with other people, you hear stuff you never hear 100 times in the studio, round and round and round. I'm like, oh, that's where we should have done that edit.
The growth never stops. The creative process never stops. Even if it's an old song, you still want to recreate and add to the song. We could do this, we can do that. The creative process cannot be stopped, even as however old the recording is.
And I realized it went through more hands than that. There was the original version in the early 90s, and then the later version was sang on by Aaron Boris, and then Pixie Blue, and then I did some remixing, and other people did some remixing, and then Tyrone Stanford, and we recorded Chris Mahoon, who did all the guitar work on this rock version. And that lineup of the band included Lee Presson on percussion and keyboard, and he did a mix, so all the sort of 9 Inch Nails arpeggiators in there come from him, and he has versions that he created. And then Raven Alexander, I don't know if I redid the vocals. I think I redid the vocals. I may have redone the vocals with him. It's hard to tell. I know we did Your Heroine at his place, and then he did all the sort of chopped up vocals and the new arrangement for the remix. And then we took the stems and started all over again, and Tim did instrument replacement and did a whole new mix, and that's the final mix that you heard today. So it's been on a good 28-year journey to arrive at that particular version. And like you said, it's the creative thing. Like, now I hear something that I would change, and the question is, do I create yet another version, or do I just let that be final and move on and create new music?
We spoke of how when you hear a song that's several years old and you want to change this and that, we can add this, improve that. The creative process never ceasing, even though the song is long created. At the same time, the prior song, the unmixed version of Rise Up you just played, that having an appeal because it's this imperfect, raw, unmixed rendition of the song, just has a spirit to it and a human touch, and it's just very raw, and that also has a great appeal, if only because it is untouched, and that's with all due creative spirit. Just having created it and left it alone, it's unfinished, it's imperfect, it's raw, and it sounds fantastic. A little less Donna Summer production, a little more Sex Pistols.
I think you were talking about It's the End?
The song before last that you had played.
Oh, okay. So the Rise Up single, that's actually mixed and final.
Yes. Yes.
And then the It's the End is in the process of being tracked, different parts being tracked, and eventually get a mix. But I think other than a little balancing for a single, I kind of liked the imbalance in that, the drums were hotter, but it didn't drown out the vocals. And like you said, it kind of created this tribal feel. I think mastering-wise, that would have to change. Otherwise, we're going to be, ripping up people's speakers if they turn it up. Yeah, there's a point to being polished, and there's a point to being raw. One of the things I love about Bandcamp is I can release music and then I can take it away anytime. All the other platforms, you put it out, it's set in stone forevermore. And so I go through, as Tim knows, many weeks and months and sometimes years of agonizing if I should release a track because it's going to be, the final version, or, I can't change it once it leaves my hands. But Bandcamp allows me to upload demos and, rough tracks and whatnot. So if you go up to audioterrorist.bandcamp.com, you'll find, me just with the guitar doing a version of The City with an electric guitar and drum machine maybe, very raw. And, I'll post it up there. Just do a little quick mastering, post it up there if people want to have that experience. Because for me, I always loved when artists would do that. Because then I could actually see how, either I could see how things were built, because it's in a unpolished form, so you can kind of see the seams of how things fit together, or just simply the emotional impact of a raw live track can sometimes be vastly more inspiring than a completely polished work. Still there, Joe?
Yes, I am.
I'm just checking to see if I'm teasing my sister. She showed up late.
Uh-huh.
You're just going to have to watch it on YouTube. Which reminds me, we need to wrap up. But as a final note today, I want to let everybody know that YouTube has announced they will no longer allow streaming from outside sources. They are shutting the door. And so luckily most of our guests are on Facebook and seeing it on Facebook. It was only, I think, Frank Martin and a couple other people who were watching the show on YouTube. It does mean that I will not be able to play any released music starting October 1st, because Facebook is going to, Facebook erases that section of the show in audio. So you just end up with this dead video. So I got to go and hack up the video. It takes a lot more time. I've been allowing the video to stream to both platforms, and then over on YouTube I can trim off the beginning and be done. So instead I'm going to have to broadcast on Facebook and then download from Facebook, hope the quality's there, and then re-upload to YouTube to get the videos out. So a little bit of a pain in the butt. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at YouTube and why they feel that this kind of content should not be streamed onto their platform. It is probably a short-sighted decision that happened internally that they have all these reasons for, but for us folks out here on the ground, it has a big impact. So anyhow, we'll be able to stream to all the platforms throughout September, but after September we will only be on Facebook and Twitch, and I will find a third platform that allows the streaming, and we'll add that one instead. Well, Joe, that's all I got. Any final thoughts for folks before we move on?
I love the tour around the studio.
This week with Labor Day weekend, it was hard to get a guest on. And I thought, what am I going to do this week? And I thought, well, there's a guest I'm in every single week, and it plays a huge role in the show and all my music and work. And I had yet to introduce Asylum Studio to folks, so it's a cool opportunity. We are currently working on who's going to book for next week. There's about 4 different people that I'm in touch with, and one of those folks will settle in that. And then the week after that is an artist that goes by Annie, and she will be performing some music live using looping and electronics. So that will be very cool. I know she manages a electronic music group in the Bay Area, so I attended the vintage synthesizer library with her and a team, and we got to touch all this electronic gear going back into the early 70s. That was really cool. So I'm excited to have her on the show. And the other artists I do not know yet. They've been introduced as maybe interested in being on the show, but I've not actually had a chance to listen to their work. So I can't say what they're going to be like. As always, keep watching and we'll keep you surprised. All right, everybody, I need to wrap up and shift gears to another project. Again, I greatly appreciate you guys attending and watching the show. And it's it really encourages me to clean up the studio and get the gear working when it's frustrating because it's not doing what it should do. And I really appreciate that. As always, you can find me on Facebook, Bandcamp. You can find my music. You can find my music on all sorts of platforms for purchase and for free on YouTube. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and I'll see you next week.